Imagine if your vocabulary was filled with phrases and idioms to help you sound fluent and natural in English. Well, that's exactly what will happen today. You're going to learn 221 advanced English phrases and idioms for daily conversation. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, you're going to learn 19 phrases that I use every day. So if you use these phrases, you will definitely sound fluent and natural. In this lesson, I'm going to explain each expression and then I'll give you an example sentence so you know how to use it in your speech. Sound good? And I just used expression number 1. Did you hear it? I said, sound good. Sound good with a question is the short form of does that sound good to you? So native speakers just take the sound good, but you have to add a rising intonation to show it's a question. Sound good? And this is used to get confirmation or approval when you share a plan or idea.
Sound good?
And if I ask you, sound good, how are you going to reply? Sounds good. Sounds good is the short form of that sounds good to me. Now notice here you need the S on the verb because it's in the present simple. That sounds good. So sounds good is the short form. And this is used to confirm that you agree with someone's plan or idea. So let's practice this. I'm going to start making more lessons for you. Sound good? Sounds good. Sounds great. Sounds amazing.
Sound good? Sounds great.
So if you want me to keep making more lessons for you, put sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Put that in the comments. Our next expression, will do. I use this absolutely every single day. So let's say someone asked you to do something. Can you send the invoice to the client? To confirm that you will do this, you simply say, will do. So don't say, I will do it, because a native speaker wouldn't say that. We just say, will do. So let's practice this one. Can you do me a favor and like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe because it really helps support my channel. And you can reply back and say, will do, Jennifer. How's it going? This is our next expression and I use it every single day, multiple times a day. Of course, you can say, how are you? This is used in more impersonal situations like if you're at the grocery store. You can also say, how are you doing? This emphasizes right now. How are you doing right now? My favorite is how's it going, which is more general, it's casual, but very natural. And as a bonus to reply, remember you need to say it's. It's going good, great, amazing, awesome.
How's it going?
Great.
Our next expression is what's going on with something. What's going on with the project, the deadline, the proposal, a something. And this is used to inquire about the status of something. But you can also use this with people. What's going on with Janice? She seems upset. So you're inquiring into the current status of Janice. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Our next expression, keep me in the loop. I love this one, use it every day. So let's say your colleagues are working on a project and they share with you that they're getting proposals from the vendors today. You can reply back and say, great, keep me in the loop. And this is used to request that new information or updates are shared with you as they happen. As a full sentence, you can say keep me in the loop on the proposals. So you're requesting that as soon as information is available about the proposals, that information will be shared with you. So if I request that you keep me in the loop and you want to confirm that you will do it, what would you say? Those two words? Will do. Keep me in the loop, will do. Our next expression, just following up. Just following up. So I could send an email to one of my colleagues and say, just following up on the project proposals. Have you heard anything from the vendors? The expression just following up is used when you continue a previous conversation. Because remember, I already talked to my colleagues about the vendors. I asked them to keep me in the loop, but I haven't heard anything and it's been hours or days. So I'm going to send a message and say, just following up. Our next expression is an acronym, ASAP, which stands for as soon as possible. For pronunciation, you can say ASAP or ASAP. ASAP, ASAP. Both of them are very commonly used. We use this in both requests. Can you get me that information ASAP? And we use it to confirm a task. I'll get that to you ASAP.
ASAP.
ASAP. Gotcha.
Our next expression is no rush. This is the short form of there's no rush. And this is used to say that a request isn't urgent. If you got a text from someone that said, call me ASAP, you would assume that's urgent. You might even think that something is wrong, something happened. But if you got a text that said, call me when you can, no rush, you would know that there is no urgency.
No rush.
Let's talk about the expression, no worries, no worries. I use this one probably 5 times or more every single day. No worries. Maybe you get a text from your colleague that says, I'm sorry I didn't follow up sooner. Remember our expression to follow up? I'm sorry I didn't follow up sooner. And you can reply back and say, no worries. This is used to say that you're not upset about something.
No worries.
We also use this in situations like when you bump into someone when you're walking down the street, or if you're at the grocery store and you accidentally bump into someone with your shopping cart and you say, oh, sorry, and then they can say, no worries, to let you know they're not upset. Now let's talk about, oh, really? Oh, really? I use this one so much. Oh, really? Your friend could share some exciting news and say, I'm taking 3 weeks off to volunteer with elephants. And you can reply back and say, oh, really? Oh, really? This is used to acknowledge news that someone shared, but in a surprising way. Notice there's surprise in my voice. Oh, really? You are? You're taking 3 weeks off to volunteer with elephants? Wow. Now let's talk about good to know. So your friend can say, I'll be volunteering for 3 weeks, but I'll still call you every day. And then you can say, good to know, good to know. This is used to acknowledge news that someone shared in a positive way. So maybe you know the area where your friend will be volunteering and you let them know that there's an amazing waterfall nearby and they should visit it. They can reply back and say, good to know.
Good to know.
Heads up, Gina isn't coming to the party. Our next expression is heads up. This is used to give advanced warning of something. So I'm telling you before the party starts that Gina won't be there. And this is important information for you for some reason. We use this a lot in a business context. For example, just a heads up, I followed up with Leo. He'll get us the proposal ASAP. So notice, just a is optional. You can say just a heads up or simply heads up. I personally use both probably equally. And the person can reply to the message and say, good to know. Our next expression, hopefully you don't need to use this one too much. I'm running late. I'm running late. This is how a native speaker would say that they're going to be late. They're going to arrive after the time they said they would arrive. I'm running late. So you might send a message to your colleague and say, heads up, advance warning, heads up, I'm running late, start the meeting without me. And your coworker could text back and say, will do. This next expression, I ask my husband every single morning. I say, what do you have on the go today? This is an alternative to what are you doing today? And native speakers love using it. What do you have on the go today? Now to reply, Kevin will simply tell me what he's doing. So he'll use the present continuous. I'm finalizing the proposal, and this afternoon I'm following up with some leads. I love this next one. Let's catch up. Let's catch up. And I love this because it's so fun catching up with people, at least in my opinion. Generally, I use this as a short text, and I might say, hey, let's catch up soon. And we use this to say that you want to plan a social outing, not professionally, but a social outing to learn what the person has been doing since the last time you saw them or spoke to them. So if my friend has been volunteering on an elephant farm for 3 weeks, I could send her a message and say, let's catch up when you're back from volunteering. I can't wait to hear all about it. Our next expression is, are you free? But you need to complete the sentence. So remember in the last example, I said, let's catch up when you're back from volunteering. Then I can add, are you free on Saturday? So on a specific day. Are you free on Saturday? So this expression is used to ask if someone is available to do something specific. Are you free to catch up this weekend? Are you free to chat? This next one will definitely make you sound like a native speaker. Are you good to? Are you good to meet at 4? This is how a native speaker would get confirmation if someone is available to do something specific. Now, I could also ask one of my colleagues, are you good to lead the presentation? And in this sense, I could also be asking if they feel capable of doing something specific. So maybe this colleague is relatively new, or maybe they've never given a presentation before, so I want to confirm that they feel capable. Are you good to lead the presentation? Your colleague could reply back and say, oh, don't worry, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. That's a bonus expression for you. And finally, one that I use all the time in the comments, and one that I hear a lot of students try to use but use it incorrectly, is simply, you rock, you rock. In the comments, you might see me say, great example, you rock. So I'm simply telling you that you did a great job. I could also say, thanks so much for helping me, you rock. So in this case, it's used as a casual way to show appreciation or to praise someone. The mistake I see with my students is they write, you are rock, you are rock. But that's not the expression, it's you rock, because this is a verb, to rock. You rock.
You rock, Glenn. You rock, Darcy!
Now, because this is a verb, you can conjugate it. And it's very common to say you rocked in the past simple. You rocked the presentation, which means you did a great job with the presentation.
But you rocked it!
Amazing job. Now you're going to learn over 40 phrases with get. To get ahead. This means to progress, so to make progress towards something. And we most commonly use this in a career setting or academic setting. For example, if you want to get ahead, you need fluent English. Would you agree with that? Put that in the comments. If you want to get ahead, you need fluent English. Now notice how I didn't specify get ahead in what. If you want to get ahead at work, in your career, so don't forget that. But you can also just say if you want to get ahead. To get along with. Most students know this one. Do you know this one? When you get along with someone, it means you have a good relationship with that person. I really get along with my boss. But we commonly use this in the negative. I don't get along with my boss. So you can use it in both the positive or the negative. So which describes you? I get along with my boss. I don't get along with my boss. To get away. This means to escape. So you can use this in two contexts. The criminal got away. So that means he escaped. The robber got away. He stole my car and he got away. He escaped. But we also use this more in the sense of to escape from your daily life, the difficulties of your daily life. Oh, I really need to get away. Work has been so busy. I don't get along with my boss. I need to get away. Another common phrasal verb with get away is to get away with something. And that something is negative. For example, she got away with the crime. This means she wasn't punished for the crime. So she did something wrong, but she got away with it. She got away with stealing the car. Notice that verb ing, with stealing the car. To get off lightly. This is when you are punished for something, but you're punished less severely than you anticipated. So maybe you forgot to submit a report at work, but you got off lightly. Your boss didn't fire you, but they did remove you from the account. So you were punished, but you were punished less severely than you expected. We also use this more in a criminal context. She stole the car, but she got off lightly. So maybe she didn't go to prison, she only had to do community service. To get back. This is used to say that you return to your original starting point. So let's say you're at home, but then you go to the store and then you return back home. So now you can say, I got back at 7 o'clock. What time did you get back? Now you can specify the place. What time did you get back home? Back to the office? Oh, I got back around 7. We commonly use this with your vacations. What time did you get back from your trip to Italy? Oh, I got back on Tuesday. You returned home from Italy. There's also the phrasal verb to get back to someone. You might say, oh, I really need to get back to John. When you get back to someone, it means you respond to that person. So if I say I need to get back to John, it means that John contacted me, but I have not replied. So maybe he asked me a question and I have not answered his question. I need to get back to John. Or John might say, when are you going to get back to me? When are you going to respond to my question? When you get back into something, it means you continue doing something that you stopped for a period of time. So let's say you decided to learn how to play guitar or piano, and you play guitar every week for months and months and months. And then you stop playing guitar. You get very busy at work. But then work is no longer busy, so you say, oh, I need to get back into guitar. I need to get back into my guitar lessons. So maybe you could use this with your language lessons. I need to get back into my English language class. To get back at someone. This is used for revenge. So if you didn't get back to John, which means you didn't reply to John and you didn't answer his question, maybe John will try to get back at you. He'll try to get revenge on you. So maybe he'll tell everyone that you're not very helpful. And that's how he gets back at you. To get behind someone or something, this is when you support someone or something. So let's say your company has a new policy on their dress code and you like the policy. You can say, I can really get behind that policy. You support that policy. To get by, this is when you have just enough resources to survive. We most commonly use this with financial resources. So you might say, with inflation, I can barely get by. So it means you can pay your bills, pay your mortgage, buy groceries, but just enough. At the end of the month, you have $1 or $2 left in your account. I'm getting by. To get into trouble. I'm sure you do this all the time. When you get into trouble, it just means you enter that situation where you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing, which is the trouble. So kids get into trouble all the time. That's why you don't leave your kids at home without an adult to supervise them, because they're going to get into trouble. They're going to write on all the walls with crayon or eat all the cookies in the fridge. They're going to get into trouble. To get on, this is when you board, which means to enter certain vessels, certain methods of transportation. So you can get on a plane, a train, a boat, or a bus. I got on the plane. You entered the plane. You boarded the plane. To get on is also used as an expression to say that someone is old or has become very old. So you might say, my grandma is getting on, which means my grandma is now quite old. She's become very old. My grandma's getting on, so she has difficulty getting on a plane. Now, what's the opposite of on? I'm on the plane. I got on the plane, so now I need to get off the plane. And remember, you only get off certain methods of transportation: planes, trains, boats, and buses. This is my stop. I need to get off the bus, get off the train. For vehicles, cars, vans, or trucks, you get in and get out of. I got in my car. I got out of my car. So don't confuse those two. We also use get in when you enter a room in a building or enter a house or a location. So this is very common at work. A coworker could ask you, oh, what time did you get in? They mean, what time did you enter the office? So you can also use it to mean, what time did you start your work day? Because when you enter the office building, technically you've started work. So what time did you get in is another way of saying, what time did you start work? Now in this case, although the opposite of in is out, we have an expression to get off, which means to end work for the day. So someone could ask you, oh, what time do you get off today? What time do you usually get off? What time are you getting off tomorrow? This means, what time do you finish work? Do you end work just for the day? To get out is also used as an expression of disbelief. So let's say your friend tells you, I won the lottery. Get out. Get out. Get out of here. Get out of town. So you can add get out of here, or less commonly, but still common, get out of town. It's just to show that I can't believe it. What? Get out. Get out. So if your friend says something very shocking or surprising, I'm moving to Antarctica. Get out. Get out of town. Why? Why are you doing that? When you get out of something or get out of doing something, it means you avoid doing something unpleasant. So I could say, I need to get out of cleaning the garage because that's unpleasant and I don't want to do it. To get together, this is when people organize socially. They join each other socially. So I might ask, what time are we getting together tonight? So what time are we going to meet each other, join each other, and have dinner, have a cup of coffee, go for a walk, do something social? Now, if you specify the noun, you need with. What time are you getting together with your friends tonight? You probably know this one, to get up. What time do you get up? This is when you leave your bed in the morning, first thing in the morning. So what time do you wake up? This is when you open your eyes. But then get up is when you actually leave your bed. So I wake up at 6 a.m., but I don't get up until 6:30. But how about this one? Get up to. What did you get up to last night? This is a common way of simply asking what someone did. Oh, what did you get up to last night? Oh, not much. I watched a movie. We also use this one though to imply that someone is doing something wrong. My kids are always getting up to no good. This is the same thing as getting into trouble. But in a general context, oh, what did you get up to last night? It's what did you do last night? To get across. This is to communicate your idea successfully. So as a non-native speaker, you might say, I have a hard time getting my ideas across. I have a hard time communicating successfully. And if you have a hard time getting your ideas across, someone might ask you, what are you getting at? What are you getting at? This is another way of saying, what are you trying to communicate? What do you mean? So if you're trying to explain something, but the other person doesn't understand, they can say, what are you getting at? Now, to get at can also mean to successfully reach something or find something or obtain something. So let's say I have a shelf and I have a hat on a very high shelf. I might say, I can't get at my hat. I can't reach my hat. To get rid of. This is when you throw away, so permanently remove unwanted items. So remember I said I wanted to get out of cleaning my garage because there's so many things I need to get rid of. There's so many unwanted things in my garage that I want to permanently remove. So maybe once a year, you can go through your entire house and get rid of things. Get rid of unwanted things. To get wound up about something is when you get really angry about something. So let's say your father doesn't like politics in general. So every time he sees something in the news about politicians, he gets wound up. He gets really angry. But you might say to your dad, get over it. Get over it. To get over something is when you tell someone they shouldn't have strong feelings towards something else. And those strong feelings are usually negative feelings. So if your dad gets really wound up about politics, you can say, oh, just get over it. It's not a big deal. You can, of course, get over someone. Do you know this one? When you get over someone, it means you no longer have romantic feelings for that person. So after my divorce, it took me years to get over my husband. It took me years to stop having romantic feelings towards my husband. Now, someone could say, get over it. Stop being upset about the situation that you're no longer with your husband, but that might be a little insensitive. You can also get over an illness, which means you recover from an illness. It took me weeks to get over my cold. It took me weeks to recover from my cold. To get around, this is how you travel within an area. So if you're a tourist, you might Google, what's the best way to get around New York City? And of course, it's not by car. You don't want to get around by car because the traffic is terrible. So walking is the best way to get around, or taking the subway is the best way to get around New York City. When you get around to something or to doing something, it means you finally do something after not doing it for a long period of time. So let's say I was trying to get out of cleaning the garage because I didn't really want to get rid of all that unwanted stuff. But I finally got around to cleaning the garage. So I finally cleaned the garage after a long time of not cleaning the garage. To get it together is when you take control of your life or your emotions. So let's say your friend is really upset because she broke up with her husband and she has not gotten over him. And you want to tell your friend to just get over it. But instead, you tell your friend, get it together. Get it together. You need to take control of your emotions because your friend is crying all the time, or she's really upset, she's really moody, angry, not pleasant to be around. And you tell your friend you need to get it together, which is a little bit of tough love, but sometimes it's necessary. There are many phrasal verbs with get through that have different meanings. When you get through something, it means you endure or deal with a difficult situation. It was really difficult for me to get through my father's death. So my father died. Obviously, that's a difficult situation. Hopefully you don't say get over it because that would be very insensitive. But I had a hard time getting through my father's death. So you can use this in a personal situation. You can use it in a work situation as well. I don't get along with my boss, so I have a hard time getting through our meetings. I have a hard time dealing with our meetings because I don't get along with my boss. When you get through something, it can also mean that you successfully finish something that was very difficult or time-consuming. I finally got through the report. So you finished it, but it took you a really long time. It was difficult. When you get through to someone, it means that you successfully contact them after numerous attempts of trying to contact them. So let's say I needed to get back to John. I needed to respond to John, but every time I called John, I got his voicemail. I could say, I'm having a hard time getting through to John. So I can't get back to John because I can't get through to him. But we also use to get through to someone when you're able to communicate something to someone in a way that they understand it. So I told my friend that she shouldn't quit her job, and I explained all the reasons why, and I finally got through to her. So I finally made her understand why she shouldn't quit her job. Your head is probably spinning right now with all of these phrasal verbs with get, but all you need is some practice, 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 and repetition. So let's do that right now with a quiz so you have a chance to review and practice these get phrasal verbs. Now let's keep going, and you're going to add the 20 most common idioms to your vocabulary. Number 1, to break a leg. Do you know this one? What if I said to you, break a leg? Do you know what that means? I'm saying good luck. And we generally use this when someone is about to perform in an exam or a presentation, a job interview, or within the theatrical world if you're an actor. So I might say, you're going to do great on your presentation, break a leg. Good luck. And you can simply use those 3 words, break a leg.
Break a leg. Break a leg.
Don't worry about writing these down because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF and you can find the link in the description. Number 2, to spill the beans. Oh, this means to reveal a secret. So you tell your friend about this surprise party you're planning for another friend, but then she spills the beans. She tells that friend, hey, we're planning you a surprise party. You can say, I can't believe you spilled the beans about the surprise party. So what about you? Can I trust you with a secret? I'm going to tell you a secret, but first you have to promise to not spill the beans. So put in the comments, I won't spill the beans, I won't spill the beans, and then I'll reveal my secret.
Spill the beans.
Spill the beans.
Number 3, to hit the hay. Well, I'm gonna hit the hay. Do you know what this means? It means I'm going to bed. I'm going to sleep. So you might tell your family, I have an early meeting tomorrow, so I'm going to hit the hay. Now you can also use sack. Hit the hay, hit the sack. They mean exactly the same thing.
Let's hit the hay.
Well, I'll hit the hay.
Number 4, to bite the bullet. This is when you face a difficult situation with courage. So let's say you made a mistake at work. That's a difficult situation, but you're going to face it. So you're going to walk into your boss's office and you're going to say, I made a mistake. So you could tell your coworker, I have to bite the bullet and tell my boss about the mistake.
We bite the bullet.
Guess it's time to bite the bullet.
Number 5, to hit the jackpot. I hope this happens to you. This is when you experience a significant success or gain. You could say winning the contract felt like hitting the jackpot for our company. So maybe the contract was for a very large amount or it was with a really prestigious client. So it was a big success, a significant success.
We hit the jackpot.
Number 6, to catch someone's eye. This means to attract someone's attention or simply be noticed. Her impressive presentation caught the CEO's eye. So notice that possessive. Catch someone's eye, the CEO's eye. So it's possessive. How about this one? His resume caught the hiring manager's eye. So notice the possessive is after the S because there's more than one hiring manager. The hiring managers, it's plural. So you add the possessive after for a plural, so it belongs to the hiring managers. But notice I is always singular. We don't add the S to I.
Pick whatever catches your eye.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Number 8, to hit the nail on the head. This is when you describe precisely exactly what is causing a problem or situation.
Hit the nail on the head.
To give you a compliment, I could say you really hit the nail on the head with your analysis. But I could reverse that and say your analysis of the situation really hit the nail on the head. Both of them are correct and have the same meaning.
You hit the nail on the head.
Number 9, to burn bridges. You don't want to do this. This is when you damage relationships or you close off opportunities. And most people do this when they end a relationship. In a business context, this would be when you quit, when you end your professional relationship with the company. But you should never burn bridges when you quit, because if you damage that relationship by quitting in an outrageous way, in an unprofessional way, well then you can't use that employer as a reference. And you never know when you might need that employer again in the future, or when you might even work for that employer again in the future. So you don't want to burn bridges.
Burned all my bridges.
And burn that bridge? No.
Number 10, to jump on the bandwagon. This is a fun one. This is when you adopt a popular activity or trend. In the YouTube world, a popular trend is YouTube Shorts. Now, after a year of not making YouTube Shorts, I decided to jump on the bandwagon. I decided to make YouTube Shorts because they're popular and they're trendy.
Every studio is jumping on the bandwagon.
I wish I had bit the bullet. Remember this one? Bit, that is the past. This is the past perfect. I wish I had bit the bullet sooner. Number 11, to be in the same boat. One of the most common idioms. This is when you face the same challenges or are in a similar situation. The same boat. Julio is nervous about public speaking. Kezia is nervous about public speaking. They're in the same boat when it comes to public speaking.
We're in the same boat.
Looks like we're in the same boat.
Spick and span. I love this one. This means neat, tidy, and clean. I always keep my office spick and span. How about your office? You can use this for anything, an entire room, or maybe even just a desk. She always keeps her desk spick and span.
Spick and span.
I want them spick and span.
Number 13, to cost an arm and a leg. This means to be very expensive. So there's a problem with your car. You could say, ugh, getting my car repaired is going to cost an arm and a leg. It's going to be very expensive.
Air conditioners cost an arm and a leg.
And it won't cost you an arm and a leg.
You could also say cost a pretty penny, which is our next idiom, number 14, and it means exactly the same thing, very expensive. So the same example as before, but now you can say getting my car repaired is going to cost a pretty penny. You can use either one.
Because it cost a pretty penny.
It cost me a pretty penny today.
How about number 15? Dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. This means very cheap, very inexpensive. So let's say I see my best friend with this new designer handbag. I can say, wow, that Gucci handbag must have cost an arm and a leg, or must have cost a pretty penny. But then she can say, actually, it was dirt cheap. So I could say, really? How? And that's our next idiom, number 16, a knockoff. Do you know what a knockoff is? This is a copy or imitation of a product. So my friend does not have a real Gucci handbag. It's a knockoff. So when you buy a Rolex, make sure it's not a knockoff.
It's just a cheap knockoff.
Number 17, to hit the road. I love this one. I use it a lot. This is when you begin a journey or simply leave a place. So to begin a journey, you can say, I'm packed, let's hit the road. Let's begin our journey. Or you could say, oh, it's getting late, let's hit the road.
Yes, hit the road.
Let's hit the road.
Number 18, to break a sweat. This is when you exert physical effort. So at the gym, if you run really fast, you're going to break a sweat, which means you begin sweating. To break a sweat. But it could also be when you work really hard. You could break a sweat. But we also use this in the negative. Oh, this lesson was too easy, Jennifer. I didn't even break a sweat. Well, I'll have to make the next one harder for you. Number 19, to be under the weather, a must-know idiom. This simply means to be or feel sick. So you might send a message to your team and say, I'm going to work from home today. I'm a little under the weather and I don't want to get anyone sick.
Well, they're under the weather.
And finally, number 20, to call it a day. This is when you decide to stop working on something. Well, this is the 20th idiom, so let's call it a day. I'm going to stop working on this video. I'm going to end the video, and you can stop as well. Well, in just a few minutes. Now notice the expression uses day. Let's call it a day. If it were 8 o'clock at night, you could say, well, it's 8, so let's call it a day, or let's call it a night. So at night, you can choose to use night, but you can also still use day. So you can just use day for all situations.
Call it a day.
We're gonna call it a day.
Now let's focus on travel phrases, and you will learn 50 plus travel phrases that you can use in your daily life. So your bags are packed and you're ready to visit North America. Let's talk about all the phrases that you need, starting with greetings. Now, as a tourist, you're going to be using these greetings when you go to stores, restaurants, or interact with service providers, like when you rent a car or book a tour. You can simply say hello, because for more impersonal interactions, when you don't know the person socially, we just say hello. That's the standard greeting in these situations. You could also say hi there. So add there. Hi there. Hi there. When you go into a restaurant, a store, hi there. Of course, you wouldn't wave. I'm just doing that. I guess you could.
Hi there.
Hello?
Now, time specific, you could say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Don't say good night, because that's what we use before you go to sleep. So after 4 to 6 p.m., you can say good evening. Now, only for morning, native speakers, we drop the good and we just say morning, morning, but we don't say afternoon. You always say good afternoon, good evening, but you can simply say morning, morning. Now, after your greeting, you can state your reason for your visit. So if you're at a restaurant, you can say, hi there, we have a reservation under Forrest. Usually the reservations are made under your last name for 7 p.m. You could include the time, but you don't need to because the reservation will have the time. Or you could approach a booth and say, good morning, could you please tell me when the next ferry to Staten Island comes? Notice how I use could you please? That's to sound more polite. Now don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can look in the description for the link. How about this one? Excuse me, Do you carry sunscreen? Do you carry? You're asking the store if they have. Do you carry sunscreen? Now notice, excuse me. This isn't necessarily a greeting, but it's what we use to get someone's attention. So if the store person is stocking a shelf, you can say, excuse me, and then they will stop what they're doing and look at you. So it's used to get attention. Now, technically, you can say, pardon me, do you carry sunscreen? But pardon me isn't very common in North America in this context. In North America, we use pardon me if we don't understand something. So if someone's talking to me and maybe there's a lot of background noise, I might say, pardon me, to ask them to repeat themselves, but we don't really use it to get someone's attention, so just use excuse me to get someone's attention. Now let's review all the phrases you need if you don't understand someone or if you don't hear them because there's a lot of background noise or maybe they just spoke very quietly. Like I said, pardon me.
Pardon me.
Now you can also say excuse me, but it's more in a questioning tone. Excuse me? Sorry, I didn't catch that. Now you can always say, sorry, English isn't my first language. So you're giving them the information they need to know so they can adjust. Because if you tell a native speaker, oh, sorry, English isn't my first language, they'll naturally just try to speak slower or louder or in a different way to help you understand. And don't be afraid to say, can you repeat that slower, please? The person will not be offended or upset if you say that, so don't be afraid to use it. Or you can say, sorry, I'm not sure what means. That means, or if you know the specific word, you can say, I'm not sure what a transfer means. Can you explain it a different way? Can you give me more information? Can you help me understand? Or simply you can say, sorry, I don't understand. English isn't my first language. And they will naturally know they need to speak slower, louder, or explain it a different way.
Can you repeat that, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
As a tourist, you're going to be spending money at stores. So let's talk about the phrases you need. When you go into a store or when you take all of your items to checkout when you're ready to pay, you can just say, hi there, or any of the other greetings. Now, previously, the stores would ask you cash or credit, but this isn't common in North America today. It's assumed you're going to pay with a credit card. So they generally don't ask you about the payment method. They will probably just point at the machine and then you can tap your card.
Cash or credit?
Now there are some street vendors. A street vendor would be a small shop or something that isn't a physical store. It is possible that they only accept cash, but this is becoming less and less common. Basically, everywhere you go in North America, you can pay with your card, even the smallest street vendors, because they have a little device they put on their phones, and then their phone turns into a payment processor, and you just tap your card on the phone. So even at very small vendors, you can likely pay with your card, but of course, bring a little cash with you. You can ask, how much is this for one item? How much are these for two or more items? Now, after you pay, they might ask you, do you need a bag? Now, they might say, need a bag, or simply bag with a rising intonation to show it's a question. Plastic bags are not used at most stores in North America. They are banned for environmental reasons. So if you need a bag, most likely you have to pay for that bag. Instead of plastic, stores use paper bags, and they're probably about 15 cents per bag. Or you can get a reusable bag, depending on the quality, $1 to $3. A lot of smaller stores, convenience stores, markets, they still use plastic bags, but the bigger stores generally don't. But you can always ask them, can you give me a bag, please? Or I need to buy a bag. Now, sometimes I hear students say, please, I need to buy a bag. And they put please at the beginning of a statement, but that is not common in North America and it sounds a little awkward. So put please at the end. I need to buy a bag, please. Please commonly comes at the beginning when it's the imperative. So you're giving an instruction. Please put the receipt in the bag. Put the receipt in the bag is the instruction, and you can add please at the beginning to sound more polite. You could also add it at the end. After you pay, they might say, do you want a receipt? Again, to try to be more environmental and save paper, they don't automatically print receipts. They might just say, need a receipt, want a receipt, or receipt. You can say, no, that's okay, no thanks, yes please. Now, right before you pay, they might say something really long that you don't understand. They may be asking you for a donation, which is very common. Do you want to donate $1 to the Children's Hospital? They might ask you if you have a points or rewards membership with that store. Or they might ask you if you want to sign up for something like a Walmart MasterCard or a points card or a membership. If you don't understand, just say no thanks. No thanks, because they're probably just trying to give you something additional. Now, if you go into a clothing store or a larger store, they will greet you and they'll ask you if you're looking for something specific. You can say, I'm just looking. I'm just browsing, but in North America, looking is more common. I'm just looking, thanks.
No thanks, I'm just browsing.
Oh, I'm just looking, thanks.
Or if you are looking for something specific, you can say, I'm looking for a small backpack. Where can I find men's socks? Do you carry sunglasses? If you're buying clothing, you can ask, where can I try this on? Where are the fitting rooms, the changing rooms, which is where you try things on. You can also ask them, what's your return policy, to know if the item is returnable or exchangeable. Now let's talk about dining out at restaurants. When you go to a restaurant, you can use your greeting, hello, hi there, good afternoon, table for two, please. Or you can state, we have a reservation under, and then your name, generally just your last name, under Forrest. Or maybe you want to make a reservation. Can we make a reservation? And they'll ask you when or what day, how many people, and what time.
Table for two, please.
Now, if you're staying at the restaurant, you can ask them, do you have any tables outside? Do you have any tables on the patio? So they mean the same thing. The patio or outside is an area that is outside. So you have inside or outside. Outside is on the patio. And if you're inside and you see this really nice table by the window, you can say, can we sit by the window, please? Are there any booths available? So maybe they're putting you at a table with chairs, but you want to sit in a booth. Just ask them, are there any booths available? If you have any allergies, you can tell your server, I'm allergic to shellfish. Or maybe you see an item, a stir fry with chicken, and you want to know, can you make that vegetarian? Can you make that vegan? Can you make that gluten-free? To order, just say, I'll have the stir fry with shrimp, please. Alternatively, I'd like the stir fry with shrimp, please, but I'll have is way more common. Now you may want to modify your order. I'll have the stir fry with shrimp, please, but no onions. Hold the onions without onions. They all mean the same thing. Can you add pickles? So if you want something additional, can you add pickles? Can you make it extra spicy? This is something my husband asks every time. Can you make it extra spicy? Can you put the sauce on the side? So maybe if they put a sauce over top, can you put it on the side?
Sauce on the side again, please.
Just know that modifying your orders is extremely common and accepted in North America. So don't be shy. If you want something specific, just ask, they will do it for you. And don't forget to ask for water, because as a tourist, you need to drink a lot of water. Can you bring us some water, please? They might ask you sparkling or still, bottled. Just say tap water. Tap water is fine. Sometimes the restaurants try to sound more fancy and say house water, but it's the water that comes out of the tap, which is drinkable in all of North America. So if you don't want to pay for water, just say tap water is fine. And know that water is free everywhere you go in North America. You can go into any place and ask for water for free. You might ask them, where are the bathrooms or restrooms? Either word choice is fine. Where are the bathrooms? Where are the restrooms? Just don't say where are the toilets, because we don't use that word for restaurants. Now, if you had a big meal and you didn't finish it all, you can say, can I have a to-go box, please? And they'll bring you a box and you put your leftovers and then you take it with you. Can I have a to-go box, please? Or you can say, can you wrap this up? So they will take your food, put it in a to-go box and bring it back to you. Can you wrap this up? Can you pack this up? They mean the same thing. If they try to offer you dessert or coffee and you don't want it, say just the check, please. You can say check or bill. Just the check, please. Just the bill, please. Can you bring me the check or bill, please? Or you can simply ask, where do I pay?
Just the check, please.
Where do I pay? It's $25, right?
In North America, tips, gratuity, are rarely added to the bill automatically. So it's your choice to leave it when you pay. There'll be an option on the machine. It's not required, but it is highly expected, and a 10 to 20% tip depending on the formality of the restaurant and the level of service is expected. But again, it isn't required. Now at any restaurant, cafe, or store, you can ask them, do you have Wi-Fi? Or is there Wi-Fi here? And if you know there's Wi-Fi because there's a sign, you can ask them, what's the Wi-Fi password? Now, sometimes the Wi-Fi passwords are just random letters or numbers, and maybe you didn't hear it, you couldn't understand it. You can just give them your phone. Can you put it in for me, please? Can you write it down, please? Can you repeat that slowly, please? Now let's talk about getting around, so how you move from one location to another. You don't really need to know how to ask for directions anymore because your phone has GPS and will tell you exactly where to go. But let me share some common phrases with you. Excuse me, do you know how to get to the Empire State Building? Excuse me, which way is Central Park? Excuse me, does this train go to Central Park? Excuse me, which train will take me to Central Park? And notice I used excuse me for all of them because that is the most common standard in North America to get someone's attention. You could also say, excuse me, do you mind taking our photo? Because that is the one thing that people still ask other people for. Not directions anymore, but excuse me, do you mind? Do you mind taking, with that ing, do you mind taking our photo? Excuse me, could you please take our picture? So you can say photo or picture interchangeably. And as a final tip, before you pack your bags and head to North America, just remember that North America is incredibly diverse, and we interact with non-native English speakers every single day. Every time we leave the house, we go to stores, restaurants, our work environments, our social environments, we interact with non-native English speakers. North Americans in general are friendly, open, and accepting. So don't feel any bit of nervousness or shyness because you have an accent or make grammar mistakes. It will not impact your experience as a tourist. But of course, you do need to be able to communicate in a way that a native speaker understands. And all of these phrases will help you do just that. Now let's move on to medical vocabulary, and you'll learn 50 plus medical expressions. Let's talk about a patient. A patient is a person receiving medical care. We will all be patients at some point in our life, and I'm sure all of us have already been patients on numerous occasions. Now, right now, I'm not a patient. Even though I have a doctor, I'm not a patient because currently I'm not receiving medical care. This only applies when you're in the process of receiving medical care. There are two types of patients. You can be an inpatient, which means you're admitted to the hospital to receive care. If you're an inpatient, you're going to be at the hospital for a night, a week, or even longer. You have a hospital room and a hospital bed. Many inpatients are in an area of the hospital called the ICU. This stands for the Intensive Care Unit, the ICU. And this is where inpatients go to receive a high level of care. You can also be an outpatient, which most of us usually are, which means you receive care without being admitted to the hospital. You're an outpatient when you go to the ER, which is the emergency room. You're there to receive care for a specific treatment or illness. They treat you and then you leave. You don't stay overnight at the hospital. Now let's talk about common medical professionals you need to know. Of course, you already know doctor, also known as a physician. In North America, it's more common to simply say doctor, but it means the same thing. Most of us have a GP, which stands for a general practitioner. This is a doctor who treats a wide range of issues. So you can go to your GP because you have a pain in your back, or because you have a cold or a throat infection or an eye issue, a wide range of issues. You can go to your GP. A surgeon is, of course, a doctor who performs surgery. There are also many specialists, and this is a doctor who focuses on one specific medical area. A cardiologist focuses on your heart. A dermatologist focuses on your skin. A pediatrician focuses on children. And in North America, whenever you go to a pediatrician, at the end, they always give you a sucker because kids are always scared of going to the pediatrician, which is a doctor for children. So they treat you with a sucker or a small treat after. An optometrist focuses on your eyes. If you wear glasses, you frequently go to your optometrist. A dentist, of course, focuses on oral health and your teeth. An OBGYN. I have no idea what this stands for. I know it's a very long word, but everyone just says OBGYN. An OBGYN is a doctor specifically for women when you're pregnant or to discuss reproductive issues. An anesthesiologist. Don't let the spelling confuse you. Native speakers have difficult with the pronunciation of this. Anesthesiologist. Anesthesiologist. An anesthesiologist administers anesthesia, which is what makes you go unconscious before surgery. They also monitor you during surgery. A radiologist does the X-rays, CT scans, and MRIs. A psychiatrist focuses on your mind and mental disorders. Fun fact, both of my neighbors are doctors. One is a GP and the other is a psychiatrist. So if I need any help, both physically and mentally, I'm covered. And an ENT stands for ear, nose, and throat. So that doctor, an ENT, focuses on those three things: ear, nose, and throat. There are more specialists, but these are the most common. Of course, nurses are just as important as doctors. You can be a registered nurse, an RN. This means you have a nursing degree and you have a license in the specific area where you are a nurse. You can also be a nurse practitioner, an NP, which means you have more advanced training and you can diagnose and treat specific medical conditions. Let's talk about a routine checkup. This is something that all of us do, hopefully every 6 months or 1 year. And this is when you see your GP, your general practitioner, just to review your overall health. So you don't have a specific medical issue, it's just a routine appointment. We call that a checkup, a routine checkup. During that routine checkup, your GP, general practitioner, is going to examine your vital signs. Your vital signs include your temperature, your heart rate, and your blood pressure. Now you can also discuss any specific medical issues that you're having with your GP during the routine checkup. Of course, you can schedule an appointment at a separate time for a specific medical issue. If you are discussing a specific medical concern or issue with your GP, it's possible that they'll refer you to a specialist. For example, your GP could say, I'm going to refer you to an ENT. Remember, that's ear, nose, and throat. That's what the doctor specializes in. When you see the specialist, or even when you're with your GP, you're going to talk about your symptoms. A symptom is any feeling of illness that you're currently having or that you've had in the past that you want to discuss with your GP or the specialist. And when you're talking to the doctor, one of the very first things they'll say is, what are your symptoms? What are your symptoms? And then you simply tell the doctor what's wrong, what you're feeling that isn't right. For example, I have a lot of back pain, my left arm is sore, my feet are numb, which means you can't feel your feet. If they're numb, you can't feel them. My vision is blurry, which means you can't see very well. Or you could say, I feel nauseous. Nauseous, that's the feeling you get when you're on a roller coaster. I feel nauseous. Those are just some symptoms you may be experiencing. You can experience or have a symptom. There are, of course, many other symptoms that you could have and that you would discuss with your GP or specialist. After listening to your symptoms, the doctor might want to do some diagnostic tests. These are tests or an exam to determine the existence or the absence of a specific medical condition, disease, or illness. Common examples of diagnostic tests are an MRI, an X-ray, or a CT scan. After these diagnostic tests, the doctor will have a diagnosis, which is a judgment about what the illness or medical problem is. Then you can discuss the treatment options. These are the different courses of action that you can take to address the medical issue or the different treatments available. If the treatment option includes medication well, then the doctor will write you a prescription. A prescription is a written order, or in our modern world, most likely an electronic order for a specific medical treatment like a drug or a specific pill. You can take your prescription to a pharmacy, because at the pharmacy, of course, there'll be a pharmacist, and a pharmacist fills the prescription, which just means they provide you with the medical treatment. On the prescription, it will tell you what the dosage is, and this is information the pharmacist needs. The dosage is the amount or quantity of the medical treatment, like a specific drug. So how much of that drug are you getting, and what is the quantity of the active drug in each pill that you get? That's the dosage. The pharmacist will also talk about any side effects. So the side effects of a specific medical treatment, those are the unintended consequences. So if you take a pill, it might cause headaches, but it's trying to treat your sore arm, but then it causes a headache. So that's the side effect of the pill. Any unintended consequences or adverse reactions, those are the side effects. And then later, you can schedule a follow-up appointment with your GP or specialist to discuss if your symptoms have been relieved at all, if the course of action, the treatment is working, if there needs to be any changes to the dosage, a different prescription. You can discuss all of that with your GP or specialist at a follow-up appointment. Now let's move on to political vocabulary so you can understand the news and everyday conversations. You'll learn 40+ phrases to discuss politics. And let's start with the word nonpartisan. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Nonpartisan is an adjective that means not a member or connected within a group or political party. The community center is hosting a nonpartisan forum to discuss local issues. So this forum is not related to a specific political party. The opposite of that is partisan. This is also an adjective, and it's strongly supporting a person, principle, or political party. The audience was very partisan and refused to listen to her speech. And that's why I said this lesson is nonpartisan, because it's for everyone, regardless of political beliefs. So if you're excited to learn this vocabulary, put let's go in the comments. And don't worry about taking notes, because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. So we have nonpartisan, partisan, and there's also bipartisan. Have you heard this before? This is an adjective, and it's supported by or connected to two political parties, and that's the word bi, which represents two. The government released a bipartisan public health campaign. So this campaign was supported by or connected to two political parties. Now, technically, tripartisan, which means three, or quadripartisan, which means four, and you can keep going. Technically, those terms exist, but they're not widely used, at least in North America.
Our long-standing nonpartisan tradition is to make decisions objectively, based only on the best available evidence.
There are concerns that highly partisan volunteers could try to intimidate voters this year.
But there's a bipartisan bill that authorizes more than $7 billion so that initiatives like Feed the Future endure well into the future.
Now let's quickly review the politics, because I hear students using this word incorrectly because of the grammar of the sentence structure. Politics is a noun. This means the activities of government, but it also means an area of study. For example, Maria is studying politics, the area of study. She's studying politics at university. Or perhaps you're at the dinner table and someone could say, let's not discuss politics, the activities of government. Let's not discuss politics at dinner. Now, don't confuse this with the word political, which is an adjective. This means relating to politics, but it also means interested in politics. And did you notice that the noun has that S on it? If you follow my channel, and if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I use political articles, news articles related to the study of politics to teach you, my students, English. But the lessons are non-partisan. The focus of the lesson is teaching you vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation. It's not to support or comment on a political party or interest. So remember, you can say Jasper's very political as the adjective, or you can say Jasper's interested in politics, the study, the noun. And of course, you already know politician. This is a noun, and this is a member of a government or lawmaking organization. Amit is a politician. Don't forget that article because this is a job title, and we use articles with job titles. Amit is a politician, but most of his life, he wasn't very political.
I wrote about politics, economics, and corporate affairs, and I could have chosen to specialize in any of those fields.
I wasn't really political. I was just a French horn player.
One newspaper from the early 1900s quoted a politician who said, "The Modis had always been loyal to the British Empire."
Now let's talk about a constituency. This is a noun, and it's a body of voters in a specific area, and these voters, they elect a representative. But remember, this word constituency, it refers to the whole body as one unit. The politician worked hard to address the concerns of his constituency. You could also say his constituents. So notice we have constituent or the plural form constituents. This is a noun, and it is simply referring to a voter or voters in the plural in a specific area. So I could say, I'm one of your constituents. I'm one of the people who can vote for you if I choose because I'm in this specific geographical area. Or a politician could say, my constituents will be pleased with this new initiative.
The constituency that he or she was running for an office to represent.
Now, in states where judges are popularly elected, they have constituents.
Now let's review some common vocabulary, and I want you to pay attention to the sentence structure. She voted in an election. So notice you vote in and then an election. An election, that's the noun form. She voted for Amit. So you vote for a person, you vote in an election. And of course, the verb is vote, so you conjugate that based on your subject. Amit is running for mayor. Notice you can run for a political position, in this case, mayor. You don't need an article here in front of mayor because mayor is considered a proper noun. You could also say Amit is a candidate for mayor, or Amit is campaigning for the position of mayor. You could add the position of, but you don't need to. So you could just say Amit is campaigning for mayor.
So nearly a third of these students voted in an election.
But they all just, for some reason, voted for the war.
And he starts running for mayor and doing really, really well in the polls.
It is just as illegal to make a foreign donation to a candidate for mayor or a sheriff as it is for the presidency.
So let's say it's election night and all of the constituents voted for their party of choice, their person of choice, and guess what? Amit won the election, and it was a landslide victory. This means that Amit won by a large margin. So the margin means the number of votes for or against. In this case, a large margin could be 70% of the votes were for Amit and 30% were against him. You could also say a clear margin. Using that word clear, you could say it was a clear-cut victory. Nobody can say that the results aren't conclusive. 70-30, that's conclusive. Ahmed won. You could say it was an underdog victory. This means that nobody expected Ahmed to win. He was the underdog. You could also say it was an upset. An upset. This means that everyone expected someone else to win. It was an upset. But now let's say that Ahmed lost the election. We could also say it was an upset. But in this case, everyone expected Ahmed to win, but he didn't. We could say it was a narrow defeat. Or you could say it was a close call. This means that Ahmed lost, but by a small margin. So maybe it was 51-49. That would be the smallest margin possible. You could say it was a crushing defeat. This means Ahmed lost by a large margin. So 70% of people didn't vote for Ahmed, only 30% did. It was a crushing defeat. Keep in mind that you can use this vocabulary about winning and losing for sports, recruitment, or any competition.
Germany's leading far-right party suffered a narrow defeat in regional elections in one of its strongholds.
Well, what happened? It was a close call. I mean, things almost didn't work out.
King Ben-Hadad I attacks from around Damascus, what today would be known as Syria, forcing the North to retreat in crushing defeat.
Now let's talk about to impeach, a politician's nightmare. This is a verb and it means to formally accuse a public official of a serious crime in connection with their job. Did you know that in history, 3 US presidents have been impeached? This means 3 US presidents have been accused of a serious crime related to their position. Can you name 1 out of the 3? Well, if you follow my Learn English with the News lessons, I'm sure you can. So put one of those names in the comments. So 3 have been impeached, accused, but 0 presidents have been forced to leave office. You could also say that 0 presidents have been removed from their position as a result of the impeachment. Now notice here, impeachment is the noun form. It's talking about the accusation as a noun. If a politician is forced to leave office or removed from their position, this means fired. But we only use that term in non-political positions. So in a non-political position, you would say Yevgenia was fired. She's an employee and the company or the boss fired her. But for political positions, you can say removed from office or forced to leave their position. So 3 US presidents have been impeached, 0 have been forced to leave office. But did you know that former President Richard Nixon, he stepped down, he resigned before he was officially impeached? For a non-political position, you would use the word quit, or you can use resigned, but quit is more common. Yevgenia quit.
3 presidents have been impeached: Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump. Trump is likely to be the first to be impeached twice.
Whether they're removed from their position or if they're otherwise disciplined due to concerns about harassment, bullying, retaliation, or hostile working conditions.
Well, anyway, it got a lot better, and by the time I stepped down, we had the internet bubble running, you know, at high speed. It was marvelous. I mean, we were awash in cash.
I just mentioned former President Richard Nixon. Let's review the word incumbent. This is a noun and it's the current holder of a political office or position. The incumbent president, the current president, isn't running for re-election. That's a story I did a Learn English with the News on. So make sure you watch it. So subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's review to lobby. This is a verb and is to try to influence a politician or public official. The company spent millions on lobbying efforts. So in this case, it's being used as an adjective. It describes the efforts. The incumbent president, the current president, faced impeachment, accusations of a serious crime. Here it's the noun form, for secretly meeting with lobbyists. So right here, the word is a noun. A lobbyist is someone who lobbies. How about this word? Filibuster. Filibuster. Isn't that fun to say? Filibuster. Say it out loud. Filibuster. Do you know what this is? Well, it's both a verb and a noun, and it's a long speech that someone makes to delay or prevent a new law from being made. She filibustered the bill. So here it's a verb and it's in the past simple form. The filibuster, so here it's a noun, the filibuster lasted for over 10 hours. Remember, a long speech.
A filibuster?
And yes, it's a filibuster. The filibuster is on!
Amazing job with this masterclass. Put more if you want me to make another masterclass. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And you can keep improving your fluency with this lesson right now.